So, welcome to everyone. This is the Tuesday roundtable for Highland Community Manager Project. And this is the third roundtable of this month. And the next Saturday, not this one, but the 26th, we will have the key lesson. So it's very important for the students to participate. As usual, I am Fabio Malfatti. I am the project manager for Italy of the Highland Community Manager Project. And just I will try to guide you through this today's discussion that's about AI and data management. It's not easy thematic, but we have real interesting speakers that way will help us to understand better how we can go through this topic. So the past weeks of this month, because you know this month is dedicated July month of July, it's dedicated to digital tools and remote collaboration. But we thought that it's very important to have one day to speak about this thematic. It's something new and provide a lot of point of view, but we have to speak about. We have just to make it clear. So the past weeks, we spoke about digital tools for community engagement, the opportunities for remote works and temporary residents in rural and mountain areas. And today, we go a bit in deep about this AI and data. Okay, how can we just mix these two things for help the internal areas and the mountain areas? So we are honored to have this excellent speakers about the thematics, the topics. We have Tamta Lamuaiz, that's coming from Georgia. She is a digital tools and founder of innovative agritech initiatives. She will present after herself. From the other side, we have Alfija Kujumova, CEO and founder of Green Growth with experience of data-driven decision-making for sustainable agriculture. And Adrian Oltanu will help us to understand better how we can make more friendly, more countryside friendly the AI. So he is a student, it's a researcher, because all his life was about researching on programming. And he's from Romania, by studying in Netherlands, and has a focus about AI and for autonomous farms and rural support system. So what you can expect, we will have some round of fast questions, and from the public, if you have questions, you can write please into the chat, and I will read them, or maybe I will pass you the floor, depends on the time we have. So just let's start, because I think this is hot thematics. So I start with the first question that it's for everybody. In this way, it's a way that you can just add something about on my presentation that was very short and very, very fast. So please complete your presentation and share with us your key insight about AI and data management, how they can transform and help us in rural agriculture today. Please keep in mind that most of our public, it's small family farmers, small farmers. So we have not as public the big agritech or extensive agriculture. So just to keep in mind this. So I start, you can start Tamta. And I know you have some slide to share, so you can share this.
Thank you, Fabio. Let me share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So thank you for this opportunity, Fabio. I'm very glad to share a few words about my country, Georgia, and our agricultural sector and how we are trying to transform it through the digital tools and AI. So Georgia is a very, very small but beautiful country. It's a grapes wines country, and it's located at the intersection of Eastern Europe and Western Asia. So, despite this size, agriculture plays a major role in people's livelihood, and nearly 40% of the workforce is engaged in agriculture. But sector contributes only around 7 and 8 to the GDP. At the same time, we remain the highly import-dependent country, unfortunately. But Georgia also faces the well-known structural challenges, its low adoption of technology in rural areas, also limited access to finance, youth migration and aging workforce, and limited understanding or access to digital platforms. But this is where the Georgia Farmers Association, GFA comes in. Founded in 2012, GFA brings together thousands of farmers across the country and plays an active role in shaping agricultural policy and modernizing the sector. It's also, we are the privileged partner of COPA-COGECA and member of the World Farmers Organization to support directly platform and mobile application tailored the Georgian agricultural context, and Georgian Farmers Association was a agronautis creator. So a little journey about the agronauti. First of all, it started in 2017 as a basic mobile app. Then we created the game for children. It was actually hard. And then we created the web platform. And we started working about the agronauti AI. Of course, it was an idea in 2020. There is no, it was the lack of technologies and AI models, but the smart assistant that can suggest which crop to plant based on the region, climate, because the Georgia is a very different climate and soil characteristic. Of course, we faced and still face challenges. For many farmers, mobile apps and AI tools are completely unfamiliar. So for many farmers, some regions struggle with the internet access and digital literacy, unfortunately, but we're trying a lot. We know that one day it will be very friendly for our farmers, for Georgian farmers, these digital tools and artificial intelligence, of course. And as I promised, Fabio, I will be very fast and a little bit about myself. I'm also created the HUM AI. It's a platform. It's about the artificial intelligence. Now I am the head of Agritech and Innovations Department at Georgian Farmers Association, and I'm very glad to be here and to meet you. And one day, hope let you meet you in the physically. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tamta, because it's really important to connect the most eastern part of Europe, near the Asia, with this part of Central, for obvious what's going on in this area at this time. So that's very important. And you shared all your insight. So just to put one voice, I go to Adrian, and please share, complete my presentation of you and say something and share with us your insight about AI on data management and digital tools. Oops.
Great. Thank you, Fabio, for giving me the scene. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It is an honor to be here. To complete your presentation, I think you summarized it very well, since it's not that extensive of a presentation. My name is Adrian. I'm a student here at the Technical University of Delft in the Netherlands. I am studying AI and how to apply it in many different ways. And one very interesting one to me was the rural area and underdeveloped zones in the world, and very interesting how we can do autonomous farms and very many different kinds of applications with it. We'll get it probably into them today since we do have some time. I will keep it brief, a very brief introduction. Maybe instead of talking about me and what I find interesting, I can maybe present a bit of a background into the agri-tech and the AI, how it's used in Romania right now in the farming sector, because I find that very, very interesting. And just to give a small background for people that maybe do not know, 45% of Romania's population lives in rural areas. So small farms, think below 5 hectares, and those account for over 80% of the holdings. There are many different challenges right now, especially aging farmer demographics, such that younger generations are not necessarily very interested in this area. There's a lot of climate variability and limited access to technology and markets in underrepresented areas. And there are many different ways in which AI is applied, and especially agri-tech solutions. We have crop monitoring, so you can take drone imagery and computer vision to analyze this and to spot pests and diseases on plants. We have soil and water management using very many different sensors, and we're using machine learning also to optimize irrigation and fertilization for optimum output. There's also smart machinery. You might have heard of autonomous farms. We have affordable robotic weeders, for example, and seeders for small plots. The higher you go, of course, you can get into complete autonomous tractors and large vehicles. We're lucky to be also supported by some government bodies and from the EU. We do have a rural development program, which is called the PNDR, which grants permission equipment and sensors and training also for this agri-tech. We do have digital innovation hubs. So these are basically regional nodes offering demos, co-founding, and mentorship for artificial intelligence and agri-tech. And I would say the benefits, of course, in this would be to yield predictability and resource efficiency by using AI in farming. Of course, we reduce the input costs since we now use less water, less fertilizer, and less pesticides, such that we know exactly when to use all of these because we do it in an optimal way. And of course, we increase market access via data-driven pricing insights, and every small farming body can enter the market. I think I am done with my 3 minutes, if that's all I had. I think this is the start of the discussion that I can give from Romania's side, and I'm really looking forward to see where we end up with this discussion.
Thank you very much, because it's really interesting to integrate the idea of machinery for small farming and hilly farming, because I saw a lot of automatic and precision agriculture, but for 100 hectares farms and substantially flat. But there are a lot of robotics machines for the small farms and very hilly areas. So just we have to bring to know this. So now we go and to the west, but to the north. So Alfija is from Latvia and has to his office in Spain. So from the movement of your hair, I think you are in Spain now. Because you have some.
Yes, and according to my tincture, I'm also like a little bit more brown than usually, spending my summertime in Latvia. So you're absolutely right. I decided to be for longer here in Spain. We have team here, as well as office. So I'm trying somehow working, but at the same time, enjoying Barcelona vibes. So regarding our today's topic, I have like 2 slides describing briefly who am I and why I'm speaking about this. So first of all, glad to be here around such a big experts. It's really my big pleasure to be here. So I was born also in the rural place and in the family of farmers. So since my childhood, I was working in the fields, and almost all my life was dedicated to agriculture. And in 2017, I've been working in a startup that used to develop autonomous driving system for ground transportation, including agricultural machinery. So they used AI or computer vision technologies to guide machinery. And I start, working a lot from the commercial side with farmers talking about AI, about big data, etc. And at some point, I found out that AI is not the game changing, from their perspective. Why? Because if AI is just an AI and could not be implied or solve their problem, so it's absolutely useless. So in agriculture, especially, all tools, any innovation has to solve particular problem. And all this AI hype might be interesting for investors or some government authorities, but not for farmers who every day solves like hundreds of tasks. And this is why for some time I've been collecting some data about what types of product interesting to farmers and what is needed actually on the market. And this is how I launched Green Growth. And I surprisingly understood that before making a general AI or universal AI, it still need a lot of data. And there are a lot of areas which don't provide any data. So my startup was dedicated directly to the problem of collecting yield data from the fields, from farmers who grow barley, soybeans, sunflowers, wheat, potatoes, tomatoes, etc. And this is how actually we developed our tool. And again, to apply AI to give any suggestions how farmers can re-optimize their input strategies, etc. We have to have at least 3 or 4 years of data, combining with the data about terrain, about moisture level, and etc., etc. So again, I think that we did several steps towards having a real AI, but still we are at the beginning because a lot of data still missing in the market. And first we need to put a lot of efforts to collect it, to structure it, and then analyze it, and then based on some tendencies, build some, co-pilots or AI agents or AI advisors that can help agronomists and farmers to deal with the climate change situation.
Yes, perfect, because we are exactly in this complex situation. We have to, the science, it's bringing us new point of view about plants, about cultivation, but the climate is challenging us to exchange, to change our way to see. In the traditional at this point, it's around 25 years ago. People, it's telling me about traditional knowledge, things about 90s, the past 30 years ago, they consider traditional, the ancient traditional knowledge that sometimes reported to me was the use of this pesticide that's called DDT. So that was very good for our ancient farmers. They say it was working perfectly, kill everything. So now tradition is something that's continuously moving and something, you know, and we have how the question now is how we can how we can mix this challenge of new and digital integration and new knowledge and these big changes, how we can just manage to use with the farmers that maybe they have not that knowledge about digital, they have not this big digital literacy, so to interact with our instruments. So, no, a three question reality: how we can integrate with traditional knowledges, how we can manage the change, the climate change, and how we can just afford the communication with the farmers. So, same turn, Tamta first.
Okay, thank you, Adrian and sorry, Alfie, for your presentation. It was so great. And when we are talking about the traditional sector as agriculture, I think we need to talk a lot of with the youth generation. So this is I think the best way to talk a lot about the agriculture, about the technologies, because the youth generation knows how to use these digital tools. So this point of me, I think the working with the youth, it's a great way to modernize the agriculture. So because in Georgian reality, the workforce is under the 50, 60 years. So it's very, all generation are involved in agriculture, but we know that the youth generation knows very well how to use the digital platforms. So we need to use also the marketing tools and great message box that the agriculture is the very good sector, and we should to involve also this traditional sector and together bring it with the modern ways. Thank you.
Thanks really. Adrian, same question. Three questions.
I do agree with Tamta in a way in which definitely if we want to involve artificial intelligence and technology more and involve people in the development of the solutions, definitely a younger audience that is already experienced or that can easily adapt to these changes is definitely a bonus. However, we also have to think that we will deal with traditional audiences as much as probably, or even more than young audiences. And young audiences might not always be available because of the lack of interest in the farming itself, at least from what I saw in Romanian fields. So then we can maybe take a different approach, which I'm not saying that the previous one is wrong. I think that if we want a long-term solution, that is definitely the way to do it, because somebody will have to maintain it long-term, and that would be the up-and-coming AI generations. But one way that we could create a workaround for already traditional methods is, instead of having the people that are already used to the traditional methods of farming get used to the development of the AI, we can automate some of the processes and have the engagement of them with the AI be as little as possible. So basically take over some of the tasks, automate it for them, and deliver already some predefined ways of that automation. So we're not including them necessarily in the AI itself, because adaptation is pretty difficult. but we're automating some parts such that they don't need to interact with them anymore. So we take away completely the interaction in that area, such that afterwards the AI generations, let's call them, can bring on new stuff and replace slowly the traditional methods. So think of it as a central hub for some small automation starting. I'd say if I had to summarize in 3 minutes, that would probably be my answer.
Okay, at least it's easy because the important thing is that you start to interact between you, three of you. So the young, it's going to the center, and Alfija.
Well, I absolutely agree with Tante and Adrian that we have to start addressing this question and implementation to the young generation. Nevertheless, just 2-3 weeks ago, EIT published a big research about European landscape. And unfortunately, in Europe, 35% of all farmers are older than 65 years old, and only 11% are under 40 years old, which means still the industry lacks of young generation. And unfortunately, they did also a big questionnaire about like among young generation, and the biggest answer like why they don't go to the ag industry is because agriculture looks for them as hard work. It is isolated, it's require low education, and it's offer poor financial opportunities. So according to all this research, it seems that we have to still deal with the not quite old, but older generation. And like what we do in Green Growth is that we try to transform their mindset, saying that agriculture is not a heritage anymore. I mean, don't look at the agriculture as a heritage, because it requires then like very cultural, from father to father advices. We are trying to say that right now agriculture should be a pure business, like in a positive way. And you have to look at them as a businessman who tries to save as much as possible and tries to be maximum efficient. And this actually helps. And in that regard, actually, climate change works in our side, because traditional methods, as you, Fabio, told before, they don't work anymore. And farmers have to start be very agile. And this actually window of opportunity helped to actually provide some instruments, so they have to start already trying it, because otherwise there is a big risk of being out of their business.
Okay, just to exchange our context about the relation between young and elder. I can tell how is in Italy, where we have a lot of just an example, in the 66, it was born 1 million child. Last year, it born 267, 68,000. So in 30 years, we will have nearly 300,000 people of 30 years and 1 million. Okay, somebody will die, but we have 3 ancients over 1 young person. Now we have a situation where the landscape is abandoned, and the people is not going to work into the countryside, very few of them, and it's aging. It's really more than 60. Our farmers are, most of them are not professional farmers, are farmers that come from her grandfather, they have their land, but they have two other occupations. Young has had the problem to emerge in this huge panorama of not so young. They don't let them to take their decisions. So then in Italy, this is more or less the situation. So I'd like to have a very short panorama about the three areas, and after we go in deep on the application. Tanta, Adrian, and Fija.
I'm just thinking loudly. Maybe it's also an idea to mix the subsectors also, like a green tech, agri-tech, and it will be also very popular in youth generation. I have a question with all of you. Maybe this idea also will work good because the just the traditional sectors, it's not very popular. I mean, now in Georgia, very popular is coding, is web developer. We have a lot of web developers and lowers in our country, but we can't mix the sectors. We can mix the different professions, and maybe it's also an idea to be mixed the green tech, agri-tech together, bring together. I mean, they also the old generation, the young generation, and work together. How do you think?
Yeah, Tanta, I think that's a very, very interesting point, because we can definitely see a very major increase in the programming and coding industry, especially for nowadays the younger generations. They pick it up very easily. They start coding a language very early, and it's very, very fast for them. However, I'm curious. I do like your idea, and definitely the more we combine the technology with everything that we have in terms of green tech and agri-tech and so on, with the traditional farming, we're going to go way further than just the traditional zone. But I maybe have a counter question: is how can we deal, or in your opinion, how can we deal with the already, let's say, traditional farmers not being resentful in terms of the technology taking over their ways of farming? Because maybe they might be, let's say, a bit stubborn, that they think that their ways are the best, and we're trying to come here and automate and use technology to take away what they knew it was best. And I think this is one of the key points if we want to start actually integrating more also the traditional zone with technology.
Well, in my opinion, that it is natural process of changing those who stuck into traditional way and don't want to implement like innovation in their work. So it's a normal process that somebody in the next, I think, 5-10 years, some part of farmers will lose their land. I mean, not lands, but their businesses, and somebody else who is more efficient could make it better. Maybe it's good, maybe not. Like, it's difficult to say at this moment, but it happens in any industry. Oil and gas, I don't know, construction. You have to be on like aligned with the modern reality. If you refuse it, unfortunately, like you can be right 100%, but it could lead you to some to a sooner end rather than
Innovation.
yes, right. So this is my point, and I believe that like if you don't change, I mean, you probably lose.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a good quote. No? If you don't change, you probably will lose, because that's weather is changing, world is changing. We can't stay there in the same place. We have to afford new problems with new ways to solve them. It didn't mean that we have to forget the past. We are in a project, we are writing a project about retro innovation. So traditional knowledge to be passed through scientific knowledge in an open and respectful exchange and reflection. And after we can understand how the traditional knowledge are working, where are the limits and where they can work better, because maybe the way of cultivate olives in Pisa and our areas in 20 years will be optimum in Germany or in Austria, but not here. And maybe we have to understand how Greece were cultivating olives. And for example, in Tunisia, they have special ways to store water underground into the soil without make open water reservoir that bring a lot of problems. So maybe in area Grosseto, it's in the south of the Tuscany, that they have flat land and silk ground, maybe they can experiment. So it's all this exchanging, no? And the question now is for all of you, and how we can afford to make this exchange of data that it's not universal. We cannot have an idea that the solution is universal. It's local and localized. So can we help with AI or with how you suggest to optimize this exchange of knowledge and this transmission of knowledge to the new people that's coming to work into the countryside? So, for example, with AI, can we help them? And how we can avoid that we'll share generalized knowledge. So we have to avoid errors, because maybe some types of cultivation, it's not good in this area, but it's perfect in other area. So data, AI, and traditions. So how can we, do you think we can manage this, and how?
Sure, we can, but about the previous question and discussion, I think the farmers are still skeptical about the modern technologies. Maybe it's also the point that there is a need for more trust and confidence about the modern technologies. Sure, we need data. For Georgian example, is very, very difficult because we have a very different soils regarding the Georgian regions. We have 10 regions. It's very, very different, and it's too hard to collect the data. But after data, we can can develop the AI models, and also this ChatGPT and Grok and DeepSeek. It help us how to collect or how to develop the AI models. So we need to just trust, first of all. Second, we need to be more also confident who are working with the technologies, and then we need good marketing solutions to share this opinion about we can modernize the very traditional sectors. So step by step, we can to change these game rules. But first of all, we need to more trust and confidence from farmers or for other peoples. Then we need more knowledge who we are working we are working in technologies and AI and use very well these solutions we have, but also as a part of the Georgian Farmers Association, we are trying to develop our AI module. It's very, very difficult, but also we are trying to use the this well-known AI models, and then we need to sharing these opportunities in rural areas, because I think they have no idea what's going on in this tech era. I mean, in rural areas in Georgia, they're only watching the TV shows because they needed some rest, or I don't know, but they don't know how it's crazy and good to use the technologies in different sectors, in also in agriculture. So we need to more trust and confidence, I think.
Yeah, you are right. You center the main problem. Too, here in Italy, we have the same problem between the full digital that lover and they don't criticize, they have no critical approach, and the full they don't want digital instruments. Maybe they are scared. So in the middle, there are the right. Adrian, we spoke a lot last time about education, about digital, about how we can help this. No?
Yes, Fabio, I was just thinking of that. I do agree with everything Tanto said. So there should be a lot of trust and a lot of confidence. And I also addressed this earlier, but I think this is one big problem, that besides everything that we will talk about AI and all the very innovative ways that we can automate and efficientize everything, this is going to be the second biggest problem in adopting it, is making people understand that it's actually good and for them not to be skeptical. However, to focus more on the knowledge transmission process itself, so not necessarily just automating and creating these systems, I agree with, of course, what Tanto said about the data, that we do need the data. And usually when it comes to farming, there are a couple of data sources that we can use. So it's mostly satellite imagery, preset sensors that take data for mostly everything from soil temperature to humidity to weather forecast and so on. However, if you mentioned we would like this solution to be local, for the knowledge transmission to be on the local side, so not the global area. There is a way. I do think, since your question was, do you think AI can solve this? I do think there is a way. It just will take a bit of time if the local area did not document their processes already extensively, or if there were no sensors in place for some data to be collected. Because when we're talking about AI, we're talking about data. And if there's no data, it's very difficult to create an AI that is actually good in predicting and transferring this knowledge. How would we do that? Well, let's assume the worst case scenario, that there is absolutely no data collected in that area. We could do what Alfia said. What she actually did with green growth is set up some sensors and wait for a couple of years to collect everything that you need in order to create a general broad overview of that local situation in terms of farming. That will take quite a while, assuming the worst case scenario that there's no data to be collected. So setting up the sensors, collect as much satellite imagery as possible from open source documentation. So what that means is basically public archives of satellite imagery that you can use and analyze on specific locations. That can also be one thing. And then try to collect as many experts from the area that could create a more extensive documentation. and then create a very large database of all of this, and after that create your own ChatGPT, for example. I think that this is the easiest to use, because whoever knows how to use a keyboard would know how to use this AI, because it's an AI with whom you can talk. So you can just ask questions, and based on that very local knowledge that is in the database, you will get very local answers. So answers that are not global, are just for that specific local area. And so whoever knows how to write on a keyboard, or if we use even voice assistants, whoever knows how to talk, can actually get a very extensive overview of the location. Because we also have to keep in mind that there will have to be some sort of interaction with technology at some point. Our job is, in case the traditional ways are not allowing it, is to minimize the complexity of this technology usage. So if we just allow people to chat with a chatbot that has access to the whole documentation, then they can just ask questions as they would write a WhatsApp message, and they would get the exact specific answer back. So I think that's a very ambitious solution, and it definitely takes time. I think that could be a very good one.
Adrian, I think you have a great idea of adapting current machine learning technologies into great startup. Just try.
Yes, thank you. As I said, it's ambitious also for local areas where you actually have to dedicate time for data collection. But yes, I think it's a very replicable startup idea.
Definitely, and you have to manage it.
Yes, well, thank you.
You know that you are here to mix ideas. No, I choose you three to start this connection. No, because I think one of the objectives of this project is to make connection. So now, Adrian is very great.
Startup as all of us here.
And okay, Alfija, you want to answer a bit about this question, and after we have some question from the audience.
I have very short perspective is that it's not our job to motivate farmers to work more efficient. I think our job is to provide tools and engage with them and to be open-minded, but it's not our job to push them into turning their farm from traditional to digital farming. And today I'm very pragmatic maybe, but before welcoming new farmers into our big family, we have to put a lot of disclaimers, like don't go to agriculture if you're not ready to work hard, if you're not ready to be adaptive, if you are not ready to learn every day something new, if you are not open-minded, la 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 la. So only those who pass into all of these disclaimers should have the right to proceed with the farming, because otherwise it will be very tough.
Yeah, because we already had a green revolution that said, okay, we know how you should cultivate in all the world, and we have a disaster now. No, so we have to find something new that is really respectful of the local traditions, the local culture, the local complexity, because at the end there are not one socks for all, but each one of us has a different way to wear socks and colors, and maybe you don't like socks and luck to go barefoot. So that's the idea now of our project at the news today was about the UN new challenges, and the keywords are these: respect, local, and engagement and involvement of the beneficiaries, because this is another thing that it's new. It's something strange, but it's new. It's from these years that we are again saying, okay, but we have to speak with farmers about farming, because until yesterday they were the seller. They go there, okay, you should use this, you should do that like this, you should use these seeds. Now we have again to go and say, how did you cultivate? What are your problems? What do you think about this? And after we can say, okay, when you experiment in half of your field, this thing maybe it's working, and you explain, and you chat, and you have an exchange, and you make better communication with the people that is not passive customers. No, this is a regenerative economy, no linear economy. But I have a question from the audience. We are nearly at the end. It's interesting because we have different types of cultivation. Okay, now we have a lot of different ways, and we are starting to speak about the not moving the earth for the cultivation. There are machines for, and Sarah is asking, is polyculture as a base for a more natural agriculture considered as an objective to the AI agricultural programs?
So may I start? Actually, it is a great question, Sarah, because polyculture is a part of regenerative agriculture, and more people start cultivating their fields not as a monoculture, which is actually much more easier to manage with conventional tools. But in polyculture, AI actually allows to handle complexity. For example, managing multiple crops with different needs, detecting pests and disease across different cultures, optimize planting patterns and resources used to diverse systems. So I think that AI that might handle like all this complexity would be a great tool for those who adapting regenerative agriculture approach. So in a short, yes, for sure, AI will be needed, because it's different to manage monoculture. But what happens when in one field you have like 2 or 3 or even 4 types of crops? Of course, like it will be much more complex to analyze and to take decisions. So AI might be a good tool for it.
Please.
Yeah, if I may add up on it, I completely agree with Alfia, and I think the more the complexity of the crop, the more the complex the machine learning model, let's say, as well. And we're actually very at the peak of using these complex models to actually achieve computational complexity as a result. However, maybe it's also important to point out some challenges that might come with polyculture as an AI problem, and that is that if we are starting to use AI models now, there is a large data scarcity on polyculture. Since polyculture is so variable and so diverse, there are very few open data sets that already exist for intercropped fields. And since polyculture is starting to become more and more popular, we're now at the point where we're collecting the data, but the data is so scarce and so varied that right now most AI models rely on monoculture benchmarks. So this would be this is very interesting also for the AI, is that besides the model's complexity, we also have to boost our data collection at the same time, because we're entering a very data requiring age with polyculture. So we should definitely increase our computational power, but definitely also our sensor counts and the amount of data that we collect at the same time.
So I think it's very productive lecture, because like this is the second idea for the next unicorn in agriculture to develop AI for polyculture farmers.
Yes, I'm agree with you, my colleagues. So what can I say and what can I add? Just yes, The short answer is yes, but the long long answer, it's still hard to use in practice. So because the most systems are built for single crop, as you mentioned, and there is not enough data yet. But never give up, as we said. So let's hope.
That's the quote to remember from here.
Okay, so the thematic is data, no, and maybe just we have to search where, because sometimes we are searching the wrong place. No, FAO, as example, it's experimenting since the 50s about polycultures, and there are a lot of data information. It's not in language that easy to understand for AI, so we have to translate, but it's our a challenge, translate data from culture, from way to lives, and include in all these models that can help us to communicate with local communities. So we are going at the end of this really interesting conversation. We have 2-3 unicorns, so we will speak about. And what we can say that just to wrap up, okay, we can have digital platforms and AI. They can empower rural and mountain communities, but we need training and relation with the communities. Collaboration. We cannot anymore work alone. We need expert of AI, we need anthropologists, we need agronomics, we need forestry, we need architectures, because the form of the houses or the building have to change, and we need to involve women that until now were a bit out, but at the end we cannot say this because CREA, il Centro di Ricerche Antropologiche, we are 34, 4 men and 30 women. So at the end, young professionals, they have to stay because they bring new knowledge, but they have to understand our dialogue between us, that we are not anymore so young, but we have experience, to dialogue with, to exchange with the young. They have a lot of new knowledge and new enthusiasm. No? And we have maybe the most difficult things will be to involve the politics makers, because the policy makers, we are policy makers, but the politics makers, that's more difficult to us, and the citizen. And another point that I can wrap, it's we need inclusivity and simplicity. So we have to understand that we have to communicate in an easy way, because digital, it's good, but we have to respect everybody. And there are a lot of opportunities that this should be service and not technology to exchange with the people. No, service is more complex. And I think the ESG impact indicators, ecological, social, cultural, and governance, it's a good way to start to think about this. So this is the wrap up. And for who is here for the first time, please share, enter in our network. In the chat, you have the WhatsApp chat community. You have the website. How we said, everybody saying on social, please save us, click us, follow us, or you will not find us anymore in your life. But that's not like this in reality. So next meeting will be Saturday, last Saturday of July, and will be the closing the key lesson session, where we will just try to mix all these roundtables. And really, really great thank you to Tamta Momulaizd and Adrian Oltano and Alfija Kujumova, because they exchange their knowledge, their ways, and please stay in contact with us, send questions, ask to the network, and we will send your question to the network. Send me your slides. We will put on your profile on the website, and your profile is an open space. You can add whatever you want. It's connected with the project, logically. And please feel our knowledge, our exchange in the network. So again, thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you again,
Thank
Fabio.
you.
And thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you soon.
Bye.